Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we're going to look at the code style in Intellij, and we're going to set up Mike's code style. First of all, some projects that you might work on, they might have a common code style, and then of course you should use that. But on most projects, the code style that is used is quite loose. So then it's okay if you set up something that is a little bit more tight, or if you set up Intellij so it actually helps you avoid mistakes in the code. And most of the times, again, if the code style is strict, then it is always up for discussion, or it should be, because people get smarter by as a function of time. That's just how it is. So if you're in a good project and which is in a good and healthy project, then you are able to talk to the rest of the team. It's not just someone that decides something, it is the team that decides how to work. Okay, so this is Intellij. This is my Spring Boot Cucumber project that I have right here. I press Ctrl-Alt-S for settings. Then I end up right here, then I write code style. Actually, the first thing we want to do is to go to actions on save. Actions on save. That is the first thing you want to do, because you don't want to remember to actually apply these styles all the time. You don't want to remember how to format and rearrange your code. That should just happen. That should just happen whenever you save. So save. Actions save. Actions on save. Here it is. So I've enabled it's under tools and then actions on save. And if we expand it a bit, we have reformat code, we have optimize imports, you also have rearrange code right there. And you can also save these settings for all of your projects, not just one project. I showed you how to do that in another video, so you don't have to set this up every time. So now we have rearrange code, optimize imports, reformat code. You can also, if you're also coding some JavaScript or some GSX as it's called, then you should also enable prettier, which is or if you write HTML, then this prettier tool is quite good for JavaScript. But at least enable reformat codes, optimize imports, and rearrange code. Those should just be defaultly enabled. So then you go to code style after that, and here comes the tricks. So you go to code style. You can see I already have something called Mike's code style right here. You will have the project default, which is this one right here. So the first thing you do is that you would actually duplicate this scheme, so you can actually use the scheme across multiple projects. And then you will call this a demo scheme, or demo code style, like this. And after choosing code style, then you can choose Java right here. Of course, if you code Kotlin or something else, then you just go and adjust those. The first thing is the generic code style has some settings that you should be aware of on the general tab, and there's a lot of tabs, so there are a lot of settings that are hiding under different tabs and all that. So it can be a bit difficult to figure this out to begin with. But what you want is a hard wrap at some length, and if you're going to have a good number yourself, then you could choose 120. If you're very old, then you would say that 80 characters, that must be enough, right? That is like the old terminals. So, but choose 120 if you don't have a better number yourself. And then you also should have a visual guide, so you can see for when your line is actually about to be too long. And then you say wrap on typing. Yes, please do that. And then you go to that is the formatter. This is if you want to have something, if you have some files with some format that you don't want to apply these formats to, but most of the times you just want to leave it right there. And then you go, and then every time you have something that says do not wrap, then you change that wrap if long. It's really, really annoying that you cannot just set this one place. If you can, and I just missed it, then please let me know. Wrap if long. It's so annoying. But you have to do that all of the places. And yes, you will probably be pissed off like halfway through it. Wrap if long. Yes, you always want to wrap if long. It's not like if it's a try catch, then you don't want to wrap it. But if it's long, you always, if it's long line, you want to wrap it so you can read it, right? I know you probably have a big and wide screen, but sometimes you probably also use a laptop, and then you don't have that wider screen, and then you should be able to. And if you have a wide screen, then you usually have like 7 applications open that take up all the space anyway. Okay, so and here we have something that you should also enable enum constants. Enum constants, in my opinion, should be on separate lines. So that should be wrap always, and you can actually see the effect. That is a cool thing about this cool code style that we have right here. And now I clicked away from it because I had to resize it. I don't know why these settings boxes, why they have to be so small. It should just take up all of the. It should just be able to. Yeah, this should be maximized. I don't know why this is just stupid. But now we have enum constants right here, and here you can see now they are on separate lines. If you do not wrap, then you would have them on one line. I like to have them on separate lines because usually I actually add a lot of properties to them. So I would not just have a name, I would also have like, it could be some properties like multiplier or what, maybe a description name or whatever that is also used in the code. Those properties will also be a part of the constructor, of course, for the enum. So it should not be. It should just be always wrap. You always want them to wrap. And then you continue like this: wrap if long, wrap if long, wrap if long, wrap if long, and then at some point, then you're quite happy. There is one thing you need to set. That is because if you have an if sentence, then you want the brackets, the braces, you want those to be created automatically if you have an if sentence, because then you would avoid a lot of newbie. It's not newbie, it's actually just errors. So you can see here, if statement, force braces always, because we all know that if we have one line, then you don't need an if sentence with the if statement. But the problem is that then suddenly you or your colleague will at some point write another line underneath that, and then you will have an error. And there have been some very famous examples on errors done by senior developers, just because it's very difficult for the eyes to see that these curly brackets are actually missing. So always add those braces there. Then you also have to type less. That means that when you write your if sentence, you just press Ctrl S after the first line, and then you get your braces automatically. Then you don't have to write those braces, right? So you save time. We want to type as little as possible when it's boilerplate stuff. That's also why we use Lombok always, of course. Else on new line. That's up to you, I would say. So, but yeah. And there's actually also something in the method call arguments. Then there's actually some actually likes to have the round braces on. Every time there's a braces, then there should be a new line. And I can see why. It's nice when you have a lot of arguments, a lot of parameters, but it's not. It doesn't look good when you just have one, for instance. So if you don't have any. But try it out yourself actually. So that's my best advice. There's also something with the alignment. Yeah, there's one more thing right here with the alignment. Look at this alignment right here. It looks like I don't know what, but it's very difficult to read. Sometimes it's good to add the alignment. The problem sometimes with the alignment is that actually then you would have a lot of breaks, because when you align your code, then you actually take all of these spaces in front. Those are actually taken from you. That means that then you would you would actually hit the 120 maximum characters wall a bit earlier, and then your code will break. So just so you know, I think you should align your code, but but sometimes it will actually it will look very weird in some examples. Yeah, and you can annotate your code. If there are some places in your code where you don't want this formatting to happen, then you can actually annotate it, and you can and the annotation is format off. So if you annotate your method or your code, it doesn't need to be a method. If you just annotate your code with add formatter :off, then the Intellij formatter will leave your code alone, and then you don't have to fight it. So yeah, simple blocks in one line. Simple blocks. Yeah, again, that's yeah. Why not? Why not? Ensure right margin is not exceeded. There should not be margin. There should just be that hot wrap at 120 characters. But this was just one of the tabs. So this is wrapping and braces. We also have spaces. And do we use spaces or do we use tabs? It's a good question. Of course, tab is a bit shorter than it's easier to delete, but spaces are more exact. So when you use different editors, then you will have the same result if you use spaces instead of tabs, and that is also why spaces is chosen by default. So you can say you want to use tab characters instead. If you remove that, now it's spaces again. So I would recommend spaces actually, but I don't know actually. I think I will choose spaces just because it is more exact if I start up VI or something like that. NeoVim is quite popular right nowadays. It as one of the few alternatives to Intellij NeoVim with the Java code server. Yeah, but this is not this video. So then we have spaces, yes. Then we can have when should you have the spaces? Should it be a space after the if statement and all that stuff? And I would say it does not matter that much. I just leave it per default. Then we have blank lines. In declaration, 2 lines. You can also set it to 1. Or to 10. Or we could just keep maximum blank lines. And this keep maximum blank lines, this is a bit weird because you don't want blank lines in your code actually in general. So it should be 1. Or maybe 0 actually. Yeah, one line is okay. It's okay with 1 line between each method. Let's see what happens if we say 1, 1, 1, and 1. That did not change much there. Okay. Java doc. Of course, you should write your Java doc. If you don't know what to write in your Java doc, then if you have some kind of system like Jira or some other task handling system, then take the text from there. You don't have to invent your own stuff. Then you can just paste it in. You can just paste it there. You can also link to your Jira in your Java docs if you want to. Yeah. Then you don't have to write it yourself. You actually have what you have to do in your method is actually readable to yourself while you write your code and your tests. You can also add your Jira code or your task code, your task documentation. That you can add that in your test also. So then you can actually see what you want to test for, and then you can be a test-driven developer that writes the test first and then sees that it does not work, and then you can make it work afterwards by implementing the correct code. Test-driven development, buzzwords, yes. Okay, imports. Use single class imports, yes. Use fully qualified class names. Now that you will never enable this. That would look really, really weird. And packages to use import with stars. It actually doesn't matter, I think, much, except for whether, of course, it matters if your colleagues they're all using star imports, then you're not, or the other way around. Then of course, then you get a lot of merges, and whenever you have a code where you just say one line, then you have to merge also the import file lines, and that is of course really annoying. I would say this tab right here, this should be common for your whole team. This tab, the spaces tab, the tabs and indents tab, those tabs should be the same for your whole team. The rest can actually be, of course, also spaces. Spaces in front of if and etc. that should also be. But wrapping and braces, this is usually the loose part where you choose. But I would actually, I would have it set up like we just did now together. And there's also there's actually people that actually like the braces in next line instead of in the end of the line. I actually like it in the end of the line. That gives fewer lines in the code, and it's still easy to read. But I guess that's just a matter of opinion. Code generation. This is very cool and this is very important, but it is not for this video. It is not for this video, I think. Oh, it can actually be for this video because it's actually not that much. I was thinking about the templates, actually. The templates code Intellij, but this is actually just if it should add override annotations when you're overriding when you're overriding, for instance, if you implement an interface or if you extend an abstract class, then you will get this override annotation on top of the methods, and that should definitely be like that. Repeat synchronize modifier, yes, and block comment. I think this should just be left. This should just be left as it is actually. Also your test classes, yeah, that's fine. Those are test subclasses. Impl. I really don't like this name. Impl implementation. If you can avoid it, then don't use interfaces, and if you can avoid it, don't use abstract classes. Just write your code in classes. It's much easier to read. There are sometimes, of course, it makes sense with abstract classes and interfaces, but it's most of the times just write clean classes. And especially if you only use your interface one place, then there's no need to have that interface, right? Java E names. We're going to stay away from that tab. That's just that's not us as developers in 2023. Then we're not doing Java E any longer, right? So I'm not going to go through that. But that's actually what I wanted to show right here. Now we just went to Java, and of course you can also choose Kotlin, as I just said. It's right there. There's also, of course, XML and YAML and etc. But usually, most of those, it actually makes sense with the defaults, with the default styles. But now we have made our own demo code style. So what should you do with that now? If you want to share this with your colleagues, what should you do? You want to export this, of course, as a file. Intellij idea code style XML. And actually, I want to export Mike's code style instead. Then you can find it on my GitHub on this project right here, which is the Cucumber project. So you can just take it from there if you want. If you're too lazy to press wrap on all of those places, in all of those places, then you can just take mine. But now I'll actually create a file, and then I can save it somewhere like that, and then I can actually push it to GitHub. I'll do that afterwards because it doesn't stand in my code folder for some reason. But then what you would actually do is I press cancel. Yeah, of course. I have my own code style, but the demo. What happened to the demo code style now? I press cancel code style. Yeah. So I don't have my demo code style, but it doesn't matter. I'm on the my code style is the same as what we just did. So okay, so what do we do if we want to share this with colleagues? You right click right here, you say new folder, and then you can say code styles right here. Maybe you want to add multiple. Then you save your XML file in there, and then you push it to your GitHub, and then your colleagues, what will they do? They will go and say import scheme Intellij idea code style XML. It's that easy. I don't want to disturb you anymore. I just want to share this. I think it's quite cool, and it will make you a more productive developer to know about code styles in Intellij. Thank you very much for watching, and I love your comments. Thank you. Have a great evening, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.